Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo, and tonight I'm joined by Rooster, Pooba, Senator, Pagoda, Grinder, and Bam Bam. A full house of lizards. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some scotch, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your 72nd official invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to smoke a Cuban cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. We discuss how a cigar's construction can affect its performance. We debate Cuban quality control and value, and we reveal a post-pod lizard indulgence, all among a variety of other things for the next 90 minutes. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair 14-year-aged the Balvenie Caribbean Cask with H. Upmann Robustos Añejados. A beautiful Robusto tonight from H. Upmann, the Añejados, which has a box code of SOP. April 11, I think it was, Pooba?
It's, no, box code of SAR, April 11.
SAR, April 11, out of the Añejados program. Second one we've done on the pod. We did the Partagas Añejados pretty recently. And this is a beautiful, beautiful cigar, guys.
It really is.
Bam, you guys were commenting as Pooba opened his box that how good it looked in the box.
The visuals on this, when you open that box, beautiful. Really, really nice.
So these have a, I don't even know if I'd call it subtle. These have like a very serious box press on these things.
It's an unintended box
Yeah,
press.
from being
It's
stuffed
a semi-box press, but it works out beautifully.
I think it works
out
great.
The
It works
draw
great.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, these on these,
It feels-
and I say that just from smoking them. Not all of us have gone through, had boxes of these, and they're consistently really good.
Oh, yeah.
So let's cut this thing, boys. See what we're getting on the cold draw and the wrapper. So this is a 50 ring gauge cigar by a little under 5 inches, 4 7/8. And again, it's part of the
perfect draw.
Añejados program. We can
Wide
talk
open.
about that again a little bit. Oh, boys, I got a dimple on the cut. I got a dimple.
Oh, look at you.
Big news.
Not surprised.
The draw on these is always perfect
Never a problem.
every time.
I've only had 3 of these, but I've never a problem.
They're delightful.
They are.
So delightful.
And on the retrohale, they're amazing. They're just it
Baking
has
spice all the
full
way.
flavor. It has this full. It's
It's off the tar.
they
So
are.
what are you guys getting on the cold draw? I'm getting a lot of cedar. I'm getting a little dried fruit.
Mhm.
and a nuttiness.
Yeah, like a biscuity, nutty kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Mhm.
The wrapper actually tastes delicious.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah,
It really does. I mean, there's so much on the cold draw. There's so much going on. It's just packed with flavor. You know, sometimes on the cold draw, you're kind of like, tastes like a humidor. Not this. Doesn't taste like a humidor.
No.
I'm getting like a lot of baking spices and some like toasted whole wheat bread.
Yeah. Something
Bready.
like that.
Yeah.
We're in for a treat.
You do get the nut, like the,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a walnut or some kind of nut.
Almond or something.
Hazelnut.
All right, boys, let's light this thing. The H. Upmann Robusto Añejados. Again, it's a 50 ring gauge cigar by 4 7/8 inches. One of the many out of the Añejados program.
Pagoda, you okay over there?
I'm gonna need your lighter.
You got it.
I'm like everything.
Yeah, I just tested it out right before coming. I thought it was lit up. But cheers, thanks.
Oh, careful with that torch.
Oh my gosh, boys.
Oh, dude, right off the bat.
Just as I remember it.
So good. So good.
Wow. Wow.
So when I said nuts on the cold draw, this is one of the nuttiest Cubans I've ever had. It's just like I feel like I'm literally chewing nuts right now.
Just haven't had this in quite some time. And
But the
It's all-
retro, it's the
yeah.
retro hail that's magical for me. Really, the baking spice is pronounced. Right off the bat, man. Wow.
This is delicious. Would you
That's
say
so
this is full, medium full? What do you guys think this is?
I think it starts medium.
It starts medium. Yeah. But in such a great way.
It has a wonderful bite on the front of my tongue.
It's a little tangy.
A little tang on the front of my tongue in such a wonderful way.
Not in a bad way at all.
No. It hits it very differently than most other cigars. And even most Upmans.
But the thing about the smoke, it's so balanced, and it's really balanced. It's really complex. We've smoked a lot of these because they're hard not to smoke. I mean,
They're so coveted. Though.
I hide them in the back of my humidor
I
just so I don't reach
I
for
do
them.
too. I do too.
They
you
sit-
know, I kind of do. I do that too. But this is a great, for me, like if you're on an empty stomach, a great cigar to start the night, or on a partially full stomach. Almost any time, it's just a delight. It has all these signature Upmann flavors kind of packed into this
It does.
Robusto, and boy, I wish I could find this
I want more of these.
more often.
So these cigars have the classic Upmann band on them, and then they have the additional, I guess it's like a maroon or something, red, gold, and white band that says Añejados Habana Cuba, and they're not terribly fancy. They come in dress boxes of 25, standard Upmann dress boxes like an Upmann 2 or a Regalia does. You know, like we've always complained about that these fun lines that they put out don't come in fancy boxes. But fun fact too, like the Partagas we did, this is not a regular production size in H. Upmann. The Royal Robusto is different than this. This was made for this program and then aged, I guess, for a certain number of years, which then calls back to my question of intent with the Añejados line. You know, you're telling me they rolled these cigars and then sat on them for 5 to 8 years. Who knows? But yeah, so these came out in 2016 with 5 years age on them. 2011 box. So delicious little cigars. So I remember the first time that I smoked this, and I was with Senator and Puba at our North Lounge, which we were just talking before we came on air that we got to go back there and have some dinner and some smokes because it's such a great place. But I remember how great this cigar was, and if you guys remember, and we could tell the origin story of the cigar, but I smoked this top to bottom and didn't ash it one time.
Oh, I remember that.
The ash was the entire length of the cigar.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's hard not to want to smoke this fast because it's so good.
I know. And the thing with it is the draw is usually wide open on this, so you really have to be careful because it's so easy to smoke this thing quickly.
Because it's so delicious.
Yeah.
It is, but the I feel like the finish is long enough where if you just discipline yourself a little bit,
Unless you're a glutton like me.
it's easy to kind of smoke it slow because it easier.
But this cigar is unlike any other cigar, though.
Okay, everybody,
but
get
what do you-
disciplined right now.
Well, it's unlike any other Robusto, right? It's really unlike any
it's
other
different.
Robusto. It's so
Yeah.
different and good.
I love the shape of this too. I mean, this reminds me of the Boulevard Royal Corona in
Yes.
shape.
Yeah.
It feels about the exact same roughly in the hand and the box press that it gives it. But this cigar, I mean, how Gizmo smoked that all the way down. I've had that happen once with this stick. It's so well constructed, and I just feel like the box press works really well for this cigar. So I'm very glad that it unintentionally has this.
Yeah, it's easier to hold when it's got a little box press.
And there's
You know,
the
it
center-
fits.
something special about it too, really.
I think the ash also, it just holds on longer for some reason when it has that box press. It's why you look at when we spoke Padrones, I mean, you can have a few inches of ash before you
Yeah.
actually have to tap that to ash it. And I think with this, it's kind of the same way. I'm not sure what about that.
Well, the perfect example of that is the eye of the shark.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Just the way it's shaped, it just holds on to that ash. You know,
Yeah.
it's a bigger ring gauge. I think it's a 52.
Yeah.
Um,
And this has kind of some adjacent qualities actually to
yeah, the nuttiness, I guess.
well,
right?
the shortbread kind of dessert flavor notions, the notes in here,
That's true.
I think, and the retrohale is very Cuban. I mean, like this is like when you you can retrohale this thing full on
Big time.
out your nose, and it's like, oh my god,
It's really nice through the nose. I just did it.
Yeah.
it's just beautiful.
It's personally, I think it's where you capture the baking spice the most is in the retrohale. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's so smooth through the nose.
Yeah.
It's
just-
almost like, to me, this is almost it's almost as if it's a H. Upmann Maduro or something. Like it has just another, like they've notched up the oomph just one notch beyond most of the other Upmanns, especially to get that out of a cigar that now has what, 12, 13 years age on it. To get this kind of flavor and really robust notes out of it is really, really, really something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like one of those cigars where, you know, I think when we had Rob on and he talked about like hitting a drive down the center of the fairway, like this is what that kind of feels like. You're like, it's pure.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like, wow, right in the middle of the club face. And you know, you kind of chase that with Cuban cigars. I think this has some of those qualities where it just really delivers.
This
a really nice experience.
To piggyback on your word chase, and this has become a cigar that we as a group have chased like pretty hard.
Well, that's the funny thing. I feel like this cigar leaves a really, really amazing first impression in that there are a few sticks that you have one and you instantly know you have to get a box. I first got this in an auction, sort of just auctioning off sort of singles.
I remember that.
And I had gotten a couple of these, had one, knew immediately I love this cigar, found a box online, then ordered another one later on. But the funny thing is, I remember as I was handing these out, and Pooba also had gotten himself a box at one point. I remember handing one to Giz that night at our North Lounge, and you smoked that one, and you were literally on your phone looking at trying to find a box of them. It's just like, you know, as soon as you have this cigar, I mean, maybe some people might not like it. I'm not sure who, but for I think most people they would. It's just a cigar you instantly want more of.
It's creamy. It's delicious. It has great combustion, great construction. It's you know, off the wrapper and the nose, the burn line, everything. It's just really nice.
It's a 10.
It's well, you know,
Dakota, see you tomorrow.
That's today.
I think for this size, this is a definitive statement, but I think for this size, it smokes as elegantly as what we chase from like larger Churchills or Lonsdales or even Lanceros. Just how it smokes, how it feels in the hand, the quality of the smoke as you push out the draw. I mean, it really smokes elegantly, which I don't feel like I say that a lot about Robustos. I mean, we smoke a lot of Robustos, but I don't use the word elegant a lot with Robustos.
You
personally.
don't. That's true.
I don't.
I would with a D4.
Yeah,
That's just a workhorse of a cigar for me, though.
It is, but
That's
the
not
thing
an
is,
elegant,
the
like-
reason I say elegant,
Yeah.
like that's one of
I
the
think
few
this is a
Robustos
personal
that,
thing for Senator more than anything
well,
else.
no, but hang on, just hear me out, because it's not obviously I'm obsessed with.
That's
the
a great
D4.
thing, though.
Get the
It's great.
boxing.
But
Hey,
leave-
Bam,
leave-
get the boxing gloves, please.
Leave that all aside. What I'm getting at is when you look at a D4, I think it just construction even alone, forget how great the flavor is. I think it's probably just the nicest looking Cuban Robusto. Like, I just admire a D4 sometimes just in my hand. It's like the invisible seams. I love the band. It's just, to me, it looks very elegant.
Agreed. Yeah, the D4s are great, and I have some aged D4s that are really good. And some of the D4s, as everybody knows, and we've talked about it so many times, some of them smoke a lot of them, not even some of them, smoke so great young, but with like the right amount of age on them, and that could be depending on the run. It could be 4 years, it could be 3 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 8 years, but they really become a very refined, and to me, a luxurious smoke in a different way than this. It gives a little bit more punch. It gives a little bit more of that Partagas. Give it to me.
Yeah. There's more DNA
and
there.
that cinnamon kind of Partagas DNA that you want. But this is a kind of a different thing. I think it's elegant in its presentation of the flavor profile, because it's very dessert forward. It doesn't have a lot of pepper, but it's got that baking spice, which is signature H. Upmann,
Big time.
which really is something to be, I think, it's a real virtue in the smoke.
I also may disagree that I feel that this is, from the flavor point of view, a full flavored cigar. The body of it is
I think it's medium full.
Yeah,
I agree with
that.
them. I think the flavor is very full, but the body's definitely medium.
Yeah, the body's medium,
Yeah.
but the flavor profile, wow.
I agree with
It's
that.
not letting up. It's just not letting up.
Oh, it's full flavor.
Yeah.
But it's strength wise, it's
Medium.
Yeah,
I think
medium,
what-
which is I think a virtue.
I think
Oh,
what Puba
agreed.
said
This
about
is a
having this on an empty stomach or half stomach, I think you'd be totally fine doing
Oh, I
that.
agree.
And you're going to get a really full experience flavor wise, but it's not going to kick you
It
around.
doesn't kick you around,
Yeah.
but it gives you so much.
Yeah. And piggybacking on what you said about I think the presentation is what gives this its elegance. If you pull this out at a party with a group of guys that really love to smoke cigars, they would ooh and ah over that box.
Well, over on the light, the minute you fucking light it,
Yeah. It's a home
sorry
run.
for the F-bomb, but the minute you light it, you go,
You go, yes.
I'm looking at Senator. I'm just looking for validation. Don't you go, because we know that this is true. Don't you just go, okay, this is something different.
You're validated. I'll validate your parking on the way out too.
You bastard. You goddamn bastard.
So unfortunately, these don't pop up that much. I mean,
No.
when we got these boxes, we got them very reasonably priced.
I don't remember what
I mean, I
paid,
think they
but
were mid fours.
Very-
I know
Yes.
exactly what I paid for this for a box of these.
What was it?
$4.50.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mid fours.
same.
Yeah.
I think
Same.
I paid $4.39 or something like
Not
that.
what I paid for this box.
Oh.
Was this more recent?
Well, yeah, you guys saw.
Oh, that's right. We tagged you.
right.
I'm
I
guessing
think
in
I
the
paid
sevens.
$7.20 or something
Oh,
like that.
wow.
Yeah, crazy.
But
Honestly,
that's what this is in this environment. That's what these go for
I'd
now.
still-
And then now all you guys laid off. You guys didn't attack
Because we're
me
gentlemen.
because you're gentlemen,
As you
and you
know.
know how much I love this box because it was out there,
Yep.
and you laid off of it. Thank you.
When did you get this? How far back?
I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Six,
Wow.
it's
It's probably even gone up more.
oh, I'm
It's like-
sure now. I'm sure that's a
eight,
$900 box.
Wow.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
I would think so.
Wow.
Which is crazy
Because
right?
you're also factoring in the age thing too. I mean, you don't see these boxes anymore.
See, and this is
You know?
why, like, I'd love to go through this box, but I've smoked 5 of these out of the box, and I probably won't ever look at that again for a long time. That box.
See, here's I'm going to counter your argument, Bam, as
I
I'm
know.
having this tonight.
I know.
I'm kind of in the zone where I feel like this is as, Rob Isla, and I had a nice conversation about this on a Zoom one time. Like, this box is smoking, and we'll see by the rating tonight in a while, but this box is smoking, in my opinion, as close to perfectly as
it's
possible.
as good as it's going to smoke.
So
I mean,
the
like,
only
smoke
thing,
'em.
in my opinion, I don't know if it can get better. It may, but to sit on these for 3, 4, 5, 10 more years, I think you're going to see the quality degrade a little bit.
Interesting.
I'm gonna say-
Yeah, I agree.
I'm very
Interesting.
glad to hear you say that because hearing the discipline of some of the other lizards, I've like blown through the boxes I've had.
Oh,
These, like,
Absolutely.
I feel bad. Like I'm listening to this. I'm saying I
blown
wish
through
I
them too.
had this level of discipline. I mean, I have 2 boxes, and I guess for some reason I forget. Oh, I know why. At first, those health stickers they're putting all over these damn
Yes.
boxes now. So there was one over the bottom on one of them I had bought, and I think it was on I Have, and I had no clue what year it was, so I just ordered it. I off the truck wasn't happy with it, so then I found one that I wanted with the exact code, exact year that I had first tried. I ordered that, and then maybe a year later, I just finally ripped the health sticker off the bottom. I'm like, holy shit, it's the exact same year and
Cool.
code that I was pursuing.
Mm.
And after they sat, I smoked it, and it was perfect. But I've probably got, I don't know, maybe 15 of these left across
Wow.
the 2 boxes. I mean, I've just plowed through
That's
them.
because you felt like you had an abundance of these early on. You went through them.
Well, I just loved it so much. I handed one of
What's
these
the
out to
point?
every guy here. I'm pretty certain.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Yeah.
I
You were
love
very
with this
generous with
cigar,
this.
so was happy
Absolutely.
to
This
share
is
it.
my 3rd box.
They're awesome.
I smoked them. I gave them away. You got to
Incredible.
smoke
though.
them.
I know.
The stickers, the health stickers we're talking about, the
Mhm.
boxes that come from Mexico.
Oh, it's
Those are the
you can't even
worst.
see what kind of cigars you have.
It's all over the box.
Oh no, it's very graphic.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, they have like the
graphic.
throat open, like
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
jeez.
like someone who smokes cigarettes,
And
6
it's-
packs of cigarettes a day.
It's like
Mexico's
the whole
going down
whole
to
box
tubes.
is just covered. Yeah,
I'm not going to Mexico anymore.
you're not.
Well, can we talk? I don't understand this. I haven't spent a lot of time in Mexico, but I've been there. Of all the problems Mexico has, how is banning smoking out in public places a top issue that they needed to
It's crazy.
go
man.
that far?
Well,
Thank you.
Well, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, it's like It's a war zone worse than Baghdad.
Parts of it.
It's
You think that they would put their efforts toward, like, I don't know, murder, cocaine, heroin, murder,
hanging dead bodies from bridges every day.
like,
Can I get a room in Baghdad, please?
You know, the other thing too, on top of the smoking ban coming in, arguably as bad or worse than Canada, most of Canada, there's another factor too where you're not, like, even the LCDHs in Mexico, you're not allowed to physically display cigars in an open space. So like when you walk in the LCDH, they have black tarps now inside the humidor that you can't even see in the humidor unless you physically ask for permission and go in. Like you walk in the room and there's black tarps inside the humidor. It's
So,
crazy.
One of our buddies was in Mexico. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, and he explained exactly that. Blankets in the fucking window.
But he was smoking a cigar outside.
Outside, but
Yeah,
you
he
can't
was.
inside.
But is that for different reasons, like security reasons?
No,
or
it's
like,
a smoking ban that went into effect in January.
So I thought you could
how
not
about
smoke.
how about like a crystal meth manufacturing ban? I mean, like,
you're not wrong.
why not focus on that? I
How
mean,
about a ban on that?
like, you know,
I love
Why would you want to do that?
Watching too much Breaking Bad. Hey, I wanted to point out, I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's some really interesting crystallization or
Yes,
some
there
sort
is.
of oil
Oh,
pattern
there is
on the wrapper that
It's
even as, look at the ash, there's like little bubbles of oil or something.
yeah. It
that-
actually separates from the leaf as it gets hot,
It's incredible.
and it gets shiny right at the burn line.
So we a
Very
bunch of
cool.
us have our phones out with
Very
the
cool.
flashlight on. I mean, I've never seen anything like that on a cigar
Oh, yeah.
before.
And it's pronounced when you take a draw and you look at your cigar.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a super special
That's
cigar.
cool.
Happy to be smoking it with you guys.
Hey, Bam, get closer on that mic or lift it up or something. Yeah,
Done.
this is really amazing.
Yeah.
And we're only, we're coming in maybe to the second, third here. Maybe. I'm trying to smoke it slowly, but I'm getting like a chocolate thing now.
Cocoa.
Alongside the
cocoa.
baking spice, alongside the, it's just so smooth
Yeah.
too.
I think the complexity note earlier that was mentioned by Puba, right on the money.
Yeah, it's silky and
Freaking awesome.
And there's a richness to the smoke
Yeah.
in your mouth. It's like thick or something.
yeah, it's got a viscosity to it.
Yeah.
And the if you share this with someone, and I've shared this cigar with as like a teaser for Cubans, I've shared this a couple times, and they're like, okay, like even like the layman approaches the cigar and appreciates it because I think it really does taste that good.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh my God, like, wow, a cigar can actually be this really this approachable. And because if this was I would give this, I mean, I even think a novice smoker would smoke the cigar and be like, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's that kind of approachable.
They
It's
wouldn't,
really good.
They wouldn't be deserving of it, but they would. enjoy it.
No, you're right. You're right. But it's
So let's talk about our pairing tonight. We did this on episode 3, by the way, this is episode 72. So that's like almost 70 episodes ago.
We were young kids. Back
We
then.
were babies, man.
Oh yeah.
We were babies on the journey. The Balvenie 14-year aged Caribbean cask.
I just
So,
have to say, the last bit of commentary on this cigar, as you guys were describing the stick,
Yeah.
and I was sipping on the Balvenie, it's like you were describing the Scotch. It was amazing. Like the viscosity, the just the flavor notes, the creaminess. I love this stuff. This is an excellent pairing already. I feel like with
This is a crowd favorite among us.
sure is.
Yeah.
So we did it on episode 3 for the listener. Why are we doing it again? It's because we didn't start rating liquors until I think Grinder said on episode 11 or 15 or something, like, why the hell are we not rating the liquors too? And we just did. So we're revisiting the stuff that we did early on. And I'm very happy to, because this is an excellent single malt Scotch.
On the way in, I thought the Scotch would overwhelm the cigar.
Mm-mm.
Just in thinking about it. But it's
it's
pairing
perfect.
It's pairing beautifully.
Because it has that sweetness
Yeah.
from the is that a rum cask?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys could talk about it. Grinder, Senator, you guys know a little more.
Just quickly before that, the funny thing is how Bam was saying, I was worried this would overpower it. Giz and I, as we were just thinking about pairings with this, and we were debating wine or a spirit, and I kept saying, I feel like a spirit is needed with this cigar. and it had been a while since I had it, but now smoking it, how much flavor we're talking. I mean, everyone here is saying full flavor, medium strength. The flavor is so robust in this cigar. I feel like it just holds up really well with the spirit.
Yeah. I forgot how full flavor the cigar was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a long finish, and it pairs up super well with the rum cask, this Caribbean cask,
Oh, yeah.
Scotch, which we all love the double wood 12, right?
Yeah.
There's consensus
I
on
have that with my cereal every morning.
Yeah, it's right. I mean, no joke, it's that good, right?
Lucky Charms.
Yeah,
Fruit Loops.
but when you elevate it, this 14 Caribbean cask Balvenie is it's super good. And I'm not trying to be basic about the evaluation, but it's just super delicious. There's just that there's that sweetness that you get from it, which is balanced. It's not like a cognac sweet, but it's almost like it's closer. It's bordering on that sweetness you kind of get from a cognac that pairs well with the cigar, and it performs.
There's like this soft creaminess about this Scotch, which is not something I used to describe many single malts. It's just so refined and smooth. Like, we love the 12, and I feel like the flavor notes in the 12 are perfect for most of our, if not all of our palates. This just has this creamy, refined element to it.
Yep.
That I just love with this cigar.
Do you remember creamsicles when you
Oh,
were a
yeah.
kid?
Oh, yeah.
The orange and white.
This is like a creamsicle, but without the fake orange shit in it.
Yeah.
It's like a creamsicle.
It's creamy. Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
Here's a question.
It's bringing out, sorry, Bam, it's
okay.
bringing out just a touch of that twang on the front of my tongue that I was mentioning really early on in the cigar. For some reason, pairing it with this as I'm sipping it, that's come back again. And I think it's a product of the pairing. Sorry, Bam, you were saying.
Yeah.
What are the
Price points? Is this, how much more expensive is this than the 12 double wood?
This is 85 today.
Okay.
I think the double wood is probably 65.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
correct.
About 20
Something
bucks.
like that.
I think it was Pubo was mentioning that the sweetness is subtle, and that they do that very well. Like that it's not aged tremendously long in these casks. They actually make their own rum, first of all, and then use their own rum, and then they dump out all the rum and then put in whiskey that's been aging in traditional oak casks. And
That's
then
crazy.
And this is part of their core lineup. Like, this is
Wow.
not something they do extraneously. This is something that this is one of the 4 or 5.
It's
like,
not
core-
special for them. It's part of their staple.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they do it with a lot of different things. I mean, if you think
Awesome.
of Balvenie, the 14 obviously is in the rum Caribbean cask we're talking about. Their 21 is a portwood. It's out of a port cask. So
Okay.
they're really good at, I think, maturing for the final stage in some different cask that imparts like just this interesting, perfect finish to whatever they're making that I think works well.
It doesn't feel forced.
Not at all.
It doesn't feel like they're trying too hard to it feels like whatever marriage they're creating, it works brilliantly.
I mean, so brilliantly that I can't imagine it without it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine this not finished in this, because what it's imparted, that like smooth, creamy, just delicious flavor, I would not want to lose.
It's a rich taste that I equate to like holiday time again.
Yeah.
It's another holiday.
Have you guys had the rum that they make?
I haven't, no.
They make a rum?
Are you sure?
No,
Is that
I'm
what
pretty
you said?
sure they
Yeah,
make
yeah.
their own rum.
I think they make their
I
own
don't
rum.
think
I
they
didn't know
market.
that.
I don't think
Oh,
they
they don't
market.
market
I don't
it.
think it's a marketed
Wow.
rum.
Wow.
And it's-
Fascinating.
Or maybe they take the rum and somebody private labels it.
Perhaps
That could be.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They sell it to Costco.
It's called Triple X rum and sold in India.
Costco rum is Balvenie.
Rooster's own rum.
Well, I'm sure they got it. They're not just going to dump the product. They're
Yeah,
going to
they'll
give
do
it to
something
somebody
with
to
it.
private label the stuff.
I mean, you look at like so many whiskey distilleries also are, they make a lot of gin
Mm.
because gin is a hell of a lot easier to make. You don't need to wait as long. You get a profit sooner.
Right.
Has anyone looked at Pagoda's ash? Look at that.
Look at
thing.
that. That's where
Wow.
I
This
was.
is
That's
very
where I
nice.
was at.
Yep.
I am very proud of you.
So Pagoda.
Thank you, Bam, for this.
That
So,
is
so for the
smoking-
listener,
way
Pagoda has
he-
an ash jet.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say, Pagoda. Now you got to start holding it
A little higher. Yeah.
like vertically, And that's how I held the ash on for the entire
But
cigar.
you have to keep it above shoulder
Too
length.
much
the whole
work.
time.
I was
it up,
doing
yeah.
that. I was on my way there, and then I just said I could probably do this, and then I just ashed it after. Just now, I just ashed it just now. From the
I
start of
didn't
the
even
cigar.
think about it. I was just because my ashtray is not on the side table today.
You mean it's not? You mean it's not in your lap tonight?
No, it's not. So I wasn't even thinking about this.
I've been watching you smoke off and on tonight. I'm very happy, very pleased.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
I'm maintaining my pace.
Yes, you are.
So Pagoda, where does this fall for you right now as far as Cuban cigars, your experience? Like,
No, I'm really enjoying it. I think I know I was kidding around earlier with Pooba saying it's a 10 because it was feeling like a 10 for me all the way through. It reminded me actually of some Indian cookies, which only I think Rooster would know, which is just the regular glucose deep biscuits, which we call biscuits in India.
Like
you know, when you're growing up.
shortbread.
They're just interesting, and it just reminded me of that. And we grew up with those, and so it just sometimes when you associate flavors and they bring a good memory, it just
Yeah, you're right.
enhances the flavor.
Mm.
So I'm really enjoying it.
yeah, this is really, really special.
I am enjoying
It's
this pairing.
still, down the stretch,
Same. Wow.
yeah, it's great. The pairing's
Oh.
great. It is, and even down the stretch, you retrohale it. It's still
so good,
so good.
and smooth.
We should have a series on these reprisals because there are some pairings that just really were home runs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is one of them. Like
Yeah.
that we should do like a series of seconds.
Well, I often go back to the Ras and what we paired with that. I don't remember. Lagavulin, was it?
Yeah.
Now, normally I wouldn't drink that, but with that cigar, for me,
Yeah.
tremendous evening that we had.
And we paired this originally on episode 3, which again, going back, a callback. I mean, that was when Pooba did the whole thing about the lizard names. I mean, that's how long ago this was.
What
That
did
was
we
with
smoke?
the Exclusivo, right?
With the Exclusivo. And it paired
great. That was
brilliantly
great.
with the Padron Exclusivo.
Yes, it
so
did.
And I remember Pooba getting the bottle, right? I think Pooba, you'd got the Caribbean 14 at that point.
I did.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, for me, the Balvenie 12, the double wood is something I enjoy so much that I think in memory, it wasn't, I always, because I drink 12 a lot, I've always preferred it. But today, I think the combination's been so great. I don't know,
I
maybe changing my mind. I don't know what's going on over here.
I totally agree with you. I think in most cases, I'm going to go for the double with 12. But in certain select situations and pairings, I'll reach for this. Like, I don't reach for this terribly often at home. I have a bottle. I go through a lot more double wood with what I'm smoking on a day-to-day basis. And maybe because the sweetness doesn't work for me on everything, but this is really the perfect pairing here.
Yeah, I like.
I
what
just
Gra-
Can
sorry,
I
go ahead.
talk? Can I talk about something? Because
The floor is yours.
I forgot about. I forgot. Well, the lighter. I didn't refill my lighter. So I asked Rooster. I needed to touch this up just a little, and I asked Rooster for a lighter, and he handed me the pimpest lighter of all time, which he's never handed me before, and I've never seen.
Because you keep losing it.
Well, so he hands me this LE blue lighter.
Oh boy,
And
the-
it's really neat. I'm going to show you guys. You guys have probably seen it, but check it out. Check out the flame on this thing.
Got a
The
white
flat
It's
flame,
got a white flame.
a wide flat flame. This thing is pimp. I've
Rooster,
never seen it
you
before.
like it?
you're
Yeah.
a baller, Rooster.
Thank
You're
you.
a baller.
Thank you. So
You can have
much.
it.
Yeah, keep it. Take it home. Take it home,
It'll
Pooba.
go well with the cutter.
It's a Xeno cutter.
It's a Zeno Davidoff.
Mm.
And Rooster's confirmed his expertise on lighters because
Yeah.
we do have another member in the lounge who has a really fancy lighter, which is some kind of like it's got a really interesting way to open
Oh.
and
It's
light
like,
it
it's
up.
like a Dunhill.
That's
flip-
our
flip top.
esteemed friend EDF.
That's
Idiot.
right.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
may treat myself to something very nice
Nice.
at some point.
I think I
have to.
know where you're going with that. Can I
And
take a guess?
Yeah.
I think it's the line 2.
What? How did you know? How do you know? Well, that maybe because I mentioned it before.
Dual flame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
line 2.
Yeah,
Because
because
the dual
just
flame, you get it's got the soft
Soft
flame.
and
because
the
you guys
orange
know
shade.
how much I like the soft flame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love soft flames.
Um,
Indoors.
I thought
honestly,
you were gonna
I love
treat
I
your-
love how you say that. Like, you guys know I love a soft flame. I had no idea.
Oh, you knew that. You know how
He
we
loves
knew
matches.
that. I was
He
just
loves
gonna
matches.
He
say.
uses a creme brulee lighter. He blew through his soda low with a creme brulee lighter. What are you talking about?
Excuse me. Yeah, I did.
Okay, you
Well,
did.
Okay, I told you I bought the white trash lighter on the way to the Jersey Shore over the summer because
With
I
the flat
was
top grill in the back.
Right, exactly. Because I needed to be because I was on the beach and I needed something that was like massive. The wind
You
off
needed a
the beach.
flamethrower.
Hey, listen, I was one house off the beach, guys. I mean,
There
a
you
lot
go.
of wind there. Just saying.
Yeah, it's a win.
Humble brag
Yeah,
right
it was
there.
a win problem for the humble brag.
I mean, please. So I bought that. But anyway, but that notwithstanding, there's at some point. So I'm working towards thinking about maybe I want the Peter James setup because the Sotelo thing. I brought the Sotelo case to the group.
My man.
And it was well received, but then all of a sudden, and I'm going to say this for the record, and everyone should know, the zippers are not good on the Sotelo. There's not,
I
they're
think I
not
have
good.
the V2 or V3 version. My zippers are excellent.
All the zippers have failed.
They're the same zippers.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's a
You just
user
have to give
error.
it time. We've had it much longer than you've had that.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, and I'm on my side. I've been through two. Anyway, my point is, I was thinking maybe I would treat myself to that kind of a setup. A nice little setup at some point.
You cannot beat the Peter James.
I think
don't disagree.
I think every cigar smoker who's as serious as we are, smoking, let's say, between 3, 10, 12 cigars a week, whatever that number is, really needs to invest in a great lighter and a great case for sure.
Wait a minute.
Can we just take a quick thank you, man? We're
Can
on the
I
same
please-
wavelength.
I
Please
need
do
to
it.
see that Home Depot box.
Please do it. I'm sorry. You have to admit, you gave us shit for
Oh, yeah.
years about you
Oh,
guys
no,
buy.
no,
Let me finish.
No.
Let me finish.
I
You
didn't
can-
give
we were
you
way.
shit.
We
I
were
can't
way
even
be-
finish. I
I
can't even
got
finish.
a lot of
we
shit.
Were
Let me
way,
finish.
We were way beyond. I'm going to pass it to you right now. We were way beyond you case wise.
Thank
for
you.
years.
No.
For years. Hey, no. Giz,
I was
Giz.
on the defense.
Giz,
Go ahead.
For
Senator.
years, we all had a nice case to put our cigars in whenever we went somewhere, and you would show up with this literally bright orange Home Depot looking case.
It's a construction gang box. That's what it is.
When you show up, I'd go, "Are there drill bits in that?"
Exactly.
And we would laugh about this, and you would sit there and say, "Well, your case can't be run over by a car and still have your cigars be
Yep.
intact."
No, a
Why
tank.
would-
Tank.
A tank.
A tank.
And he'd say, "Why would you spend all this money on these nice cases?" And then fast forward a few years, and
Look
now
at-
you sit before us and
look at
say,
this.
Oh,
"Anyone who's as serious
What-
as we are should buy a nice
at
case
this.
and a
Oh.
Can I
nice
just say
cutter."
what kind of
It's a
what kind of-
beautiful thing to see this transformation.
what
That's
kind
all I'm
of
saying.
It sounds, I'll tell you, it sounds it. It
Oh.
sounds real beautiful.
How the winds of time change.
what
Grinder, I need you to be my attorney. Are you still on retainer for BAM?
I have a question. This is part of the fact finding mission here.
Go ahead.
What kind of activities are you doing that you actually need that kind of protection on these cigars?
Exactly.
It was
Are
all
you going to war?
Listen, I grew up in Pennsylvania, man. You need rough and tough, man. Rough and
it's not.
tumble.
It's not even camouflaged.
It's
No.
not. It's bright orange, so you can see it if you lose it
When
in the
you're in
woods
a
or
coal
something.
mine, you can see it.
If you lose it in the woods, you can find it.
But don't you remember?
The coal mine analogy
He
tracks.
doesn't need
Okay,
that.
I think I get it now.
It does. It does.
Don't you remember when he left the box of cigars on top of his car?
car,
Oh,
right?
my
It killed the whole
God.
purpose, didn't it?
Also, what he remember
That's
what he
right.
bombed.
By the way,
in
that
the
was
cigar-
that was 2 boxes
D5s.
of aged,
Wow.
like almost 10-year aged Partagas D5s. My heart, oh my God, fell into my stomach that day when I had to refund these vicious friends of mine, Bam Bam and Senator.
No,
Some
no,
of
no.
us don't leave our
No.
cigars on the roof. of
And
the car.
thank God they
true.
weren't D6s.
Excuse
the
me,
D5
excuse me.
is no bueno.
My box survived. I have that box at home. I smoked
Yeah.
through
No,
it, but I have
he
it.
replaced him. He
I
got
gave you my box.
Oh, you are the prince of princes.
He goes, "My
I didn't know
box
that.
survived."
I
Is
picked
that
up
true?
Box was all over.
Is
the
that
street.
true? I had no idea you gave me your box.
Well, I got 3 for one for each of us.
You know
and
what?
then I destroyed 2 and I gave it to you.
I'm taking you to Wendy's.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Wendy's.
We're going to Wendy's, baby.
Wendy's. That's after the
What's your-
party.
That's after. I'd like to go to McDonald's. if
What's
we
your
could.
Wendy's meal? I don't even. Like,
I'm a McDonald's guy.
okay.
Okay, if I go to McDonald's, I prefer McDonald's. I grew up with that. It's like, to me, that's like comfort food.
Mhm.
Like my mom always loved. I don't know why we didn't eat it a lot. Maybe we ate it once a month.
Mm.
Like anytime I went to a doctor's appointment or I got blood drawn as a kid, I always had a 10-piece chicken McNugget meal
I love
with
that.
the hot mustard sauce.
Look at you.
McDonald's hot mustard sauce
It's a thing.
is arguably my favorite condiment I've ever had. It is.
Pooba, it's a thing.
It's a phenomenal condiment.
It's awesome.
No, I don't disagree. Completely, I don't. But I remember specifically in I don't know if you guys remember this, juicy fruit and used tissues in my mom's purse. That was the same time we would go. She would take us to McDonald's, and I remember she would have all these tissues that she blotted her lipstick with.
Ah.
And she would wipe my face down from the McDonald's
It'd be red.
with these blotted things from the lipstick. And she always had sticks of juicy fruit all in the bottom of her bag. And so all that goes together with the McDonald's. But I mean, hey, sometimes I was on the way to the airport coming back to New Jersey, and you're in a rush. Let me tell you something. A quarter pounder with cheese,
Yeah, man.
and a large fry and a Diet Coke from
Can I just say-
McDonald's in the rental car,
Dude.
on just the way, just cruising up I-95 at like 85 miles an hour, like just to get to the airport. Sometimes you just need to
When
push
I'm-
that in, and
Yeah.
I'm down with
When
it.
I'm doing
Hell
like
yeah.
a
I'll
two,
eat it.
when I'm doing like
push
a
it
2
in.
hour plus travel, like my brain automatically goes like, we need McDonald's right now.
I'm down with the Rock.
And
I like The
you
Rock.
guys don't like that when I say this. The chicken McNugget meal with the French fries, very easy to eat in the car.
Sure it is.
Oh, totally.
Oh, sure.
you
Easier
open,
than a salad.
well,
It's a good salad topper.
Yeah, I used to like taking a chicken
And a chicken pot
McNugget,
pie.
take a bite of the burger. All
the
right,
way,
we
I
need
hear
a
Kentucky Fried Chicken
Ash
pot
report.
pie is
We-
unbelievable.
We've got an
I'm
Ash
just saying.
update. Ash update here for Pagoda.
oh, Ash update.
Half cigar gone. Look at that.
Wow.
By the way, this is a lot of work. I just don't want to do it. But
Do it for the people,
just,
man.
Just do it.
Lizard
You
Nation
gotta
needs
do
you.
it. That's not enjoyable.
Just ask it.
You can't do it. Oh,
You just asked.
you got it in.
You
You
just
did it so
asked.
recklessly too. You could have just gracefully ended its life. But
Well,
you
for
just-
the listener who was really waiting for Pagoda to report that he was all the way down with a full ash, he has canceled the mission
Well, past the halfway mark you made.
and he ashed it.
well,
He
now-
did, and
now I'm
also
more
I'd
relaxed.
like to just say for the Lizard record too, all of you, except Rooster, all of you after the podcast at times eat the Wendy's double cheeseburger.
Yes, we do.
Agreed.
Like animals,
We
all
do.
of you.
Of course.
and
we do.
thank you, Pooh.
Can I
Even
just say-
Senator came around. He goes, "Okay, it's good." I got to admit.
Well,
I got to admit.
he's a dad now. He's hungry.
That's true. my standards have completely got out the window.
Oh, that's what it is.
He's been having baby food lately.
We'll DoorDash Wendy's after this sometimes.
Just
I'll
wait.
just
You-
get like $70 worth of double cheeseburgers.
As soon as
My
and they're all
hang on, hang
gone.
on. My favorite part of this is Pooba orders this ridiculous amount of food, and he's just standing around the lounge like fucking Donald Trump with
Firing
toilet
them.
paper rolls in Puerto Rico, just like shooting them like basketballs at people lounge. Cheeseburger, boom.
It's
Cheeseburger,
true.
boom.
It's so
Hamburger, boom. It's hysterical.
You got an inordinate amount of cheeseburgers last time.
And they were all eaten.
they were all gone. By the way, Pooba, here's what I think our new move is. When we hit the formal liquor rating, I think you need to place the order.
Right.
Wow. We may.
I mean, we could time this, man.
I like that.
It's a 15 to 20 minute
That's what I'm saying.
drop time.
We hit the formal liquor rating. Bam, bam goes. We go around the room. By the time we get to you, you could have this all ordered.
No problem.
All
My
right.
pleasure.
Perfect. So, boys, we are well into the second half now of the H. Upmann Robusto Añejados. And as we expected, as you can hear in our voice and the conversation and how we're feeling, this is an excellent, excellent cigar.
Has anyone had burn issues like I have, or just
I
I've
have
done
not.
a lot of touching up?
Oh, mine's been perfect.
Yeah, mine's smoking great.
You know, it's funny. I had a bit of an unevenness early on. I just stopped smoking it, and I let it kind of catch up and smoke it slowly and caught up.
I thought I did that. but-
Yeah.
I will say, so I think Grinder's touched his up a few times. I've had to touch mine up. The one thing I will say, it's kind of a crapshoot with this cigar. Having smoked a lot of these, either they're outrageously perfect and burn almost all the way down like Pagoda had, or I am having to do little touch-ups here and there and that the burn can get very uneven. The flavor is so delicious regardless that it's never bothered me a whole lot, but it is a bit of a crapshoot.
I got to say, the whole business of letting your, I'm not going to say it. I mean, let me say it. Letting your score or perception of the cigar be affected by simply just having to touch it up. To me, that's a minor detail.
But I think that that's
It's a
also,
minor detail.
I don't think it's the case here, but I think the
I
reason
understand.
why we sometimes harp on it
We do.
is it does directly tie a lot of the time to construction
Yeah,
issues.
it's
that
indicative
affect
of quality.
okay.
Yeah.
It's
All right,
indicative of quality for sure.
I don't
Okay.
think that in this case, with the age, with the tobacco, with the roll, with how it the draw, I don't think that there's a construction issue here.
Mhm.
You know, maybe Grinder's wrapper is a little thicker in some, like who knows what the situation is, but I don't think it's indicative of construction issues.
Okay.
Like when we had Monty ones and we had burn issues, I think the Monty ones were a product of bad construction, which
You have a hard
informed
time
the
drawing
burn.
that.
Yeah.
These aren't bad construction. I think in
No
any
way.
way, shape, or form.
If-
No way.
but
No,
but a touch up here and there is negligible in the overall experience that the cigar gives.
I
that
totally
this
agree.
I
cigar
agree. Yeah,
gives.
just to
It's
clarify,
just-
a
totally
touch up
agree.
here or there is not an issue. What becomes a problem is when you're having to touch up a cigar so many times, it actually impacts your smoking experience.
Mm.
Yeah, because
Right?
it's
You want to be able
distracting.
to exactly. You
Yeah,
want to
a
be able
bit,
to
yeah,
have a
yeah.
conversation, enjoy your cigar. You don't want every 5 minutes to
That's
have to
fair.
sit there, grab your lighter,
No,
and
that's
keep
true,
touching
that's
it
true.
up.
And that's not the
what's
case here.
happening here.
Yeah.
No,
But
no,
I'm
no.
just saying, like, why it would in some cases factor in for some cigars.
Sure.
Right.
It's when you're having to do it so often, it really detracts from the smoking experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's exactly
I don't need
right.
to beat a dead horse, but everyone basically said
We
what I
beat the
wanted to
dead
say.
horse.
This is, if this were really construction problems, I wouldn't be fucking smoking it. And,
course.
And like, that's not.
You
the
would've put
case
it down.
here. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like we've done many times.
Yeah. It's also preference, like that you want to smoke it the way it was meant to be smoked.
Yeah, and in very few cigars until you get up to in the Habanos portfolio, in the catalog, perform like, so perfectly like a Davidoff would. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like just impeccable, Davidoff, you get that impeccable construction.
Yeah.
It's just so.
Padron.
And Padron.
Padron, too.
Yeah, and Padron. You get that impeccable. So very few cigars in the catalog until some Cohibas, maybe.
Partagas,
and
for sure.
some Partagas. But again, it's touch and go. A couple times. If I touched this cigar up, 2 times?
Yeah.
And it was just like,
Yeah, quick.
no big deal.
But you know what? The price that we pay for these Cuban cigars now, I mean, this is close to $35, $40 a stick. The construction should be impeccable now.
But I'll tell you,
Should be.
here's what I want to say about this
I
whole
mean,
conversation.
This is close.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying like this particular cigar, but there's so many times we light a Cuban cigar and it's the construction, there's issues. right?
There are, but the
I think
Coronas
to-
Claros I smoked before we came in here, no touch ups.
Let me just say, I think that for when this cigar was rolled in 2011, I think there's 2 factors to this. Number one, I think that there were a lot more quality issues across the entire Habanos catalog versus, let's say, I don't know what the year on the Coronas Claro you just mentioned, probably a 2019, 18. I think that it's a significant difference in construction and rolling quality from 2011 to now, let's call it, right? The other thing too is, like the Partagas Añejados we did, I would bet that because this was a special size made for the Añejados line, that they probably only had 1 or 2 rollers that rolled every single one of these boxes, and they probably brought in some of the better folks to do it, as opposed to with a D4, a Monty 4, some of the other things. They spread it across how many factories, how many people, how many rollers, how many hands touch it versus these. I would think that this is probably touched by some of their top people at the time, which is giving us the experience that we're
and
used to.
like
with
a
the
little
cigar.
bit of vein in the wrapper, like here and there. Like they have a limited amount of wrappers for these that match the flavor profile. So I think just once in a while, you may need to just touch it up a little bit. Like there may be just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but but on balance, it's a real performer.
And I think too that I got to think that maybe, let's say Grinder had a wrapper or something, because we're seeing unique oil spots or unique oil markers on the wrapper and the burn.
It's an old cigar.
And he could have just one that has like an irregular type of oil. Like who knows what the situation is, but I'm going to blame the leaf.
There's no tunneling. There was
no way.
There was no fucked up stuff with this cigar at all.
Grinder, I'll finish your cigar.
A couple clicks of the lighter to
I'm
me
not
is not a demerit.
I merely asked one. Let me just say, I merely asked one question. If anyone had troubles with their burn, I'm enjoying this tremendously, profusely.
Yeah.
So I'm not complaining.
I think we've gotten in a rabbit hole for some reason. Grinder was not saying that this has caused a problem for him. He was just commenting. Hang on. What I did want to comment on was what Rooster said, which I think was a valid point, not about this stick. Rooster's point was that this now goes for $30, $40, that there are many sticks now in the Habanos catalog that go for a lot of money. And so as they've increased the price, what's going to have to go hand in hand with that is our expectation for quality of construction has increased, right? If we're going to pay more, they're going to charge more. They have to get better about consistency. And I think in a lot of cases they have. I think we've been commenting how the recent years have fared better than our experience in years past.
That's right. Like with the Fundy, how many Fundies like kind of don't maybe perform like they should for the price?
It's true.
So
for the, you get some that are too tight.
We had that experience on the pod.
And the reason I like Rooster's point is because we're sitting here talking about should construction factor in, and I think especially when you consider the price point of certain cigars, it has to. But right, you want and expect that to be deserving of that price.
Those expectations are realistic, but it is Cuba after all. It really is.
I think they don't increase the prices if you can't maintain the quality.
I agree.
I agree. I think this goes back to a point we were discussing on a previous podcast, and it's about the elasticity of supply and demand in regards to these price increases. They're testing in the market in real time what works and what doesn't. So they're trying to take price right now with their consumers and say, okay, how much are you willing to pay? How about this? How about this? How about this? They're going to hit a point where some consumers are going to say, we're not going to pay that kind of price.
It's already happening, Grinder.
I know, but this is what we're living through it right now. And this is what any rational actor is doing. They're looking at what they can do. They're not as sophisticated as a lot of others, right? So they're kind of blunt force object, just throwing it out there and seeing what people are going to pay. But this is the way it works.
Yeah.
And to Grinder's point on exactly that, and we're saying that this is happening right now, right?
Yeah.
We're living through it where finally people are saying the prices are starting to creep up so high on certain sticks that people are pausing and saying, I'm not sure that that's really worth that. The problem is the only thing they can control for, right? These cigars, they're meant to maintain the same profile year after year after year. The only thing they can control for is the quality of the construction of that stick. That's the only thing that can be a variable, really, a significant enough variable year after year. And I say that because why does Davidoff charge a premium, a very aggressive premium sometimes for their cigars, is because they would argue that the construction is flawless on every one of their sticks. And so when you go and buy a Davidoff, you may say, well, this is a little painful. I can't believe I have to spend $30 on this stick. But you never doubt that the quality of the construction of that cigar is at all going to be a problem.
100%.
And I think that's where, Habanos has to, and I think they're realizing this because, again, the quality I do think has improved.
It has,
It's far from perfect, but it's definitely better than where it used to be.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge for them, right? What would make the consumer that right now has pause about spending so much more on that stick, if they get to a place where they can guarantee that for some of these really premium sticks, that everyone is going to smoke wonderfully, you're going to have buyers that are willing to spend more money say, well, if I spend X amount of money, every one of these is going to be good to go. They wouldn't think twice about that.
That's true.
Right now in the Habanos portfolio, it's only the Cohiba brand that smokes the construction-wise. It's flawless.
Agree.
You will never get a bad Cohiba, burn-wise, construction-wise. But now like a Siglo series, you go into the Siglo 4, Siglo 5, Siglo 6, they're upwards of $80 to $100 a stick now.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
That's an expensive
so
hour
that-
and a half.
So that's what you have to pay to get a, perfect construction on a cigar from Habanos.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
it's not fair. It's not right.
no. So when we were in Cuba, you'll know that most of the marcas are made in multiple factories across the island. There's no way they can have that level of quality control like they have at one place, the Cohiba factory.
Right.
So when you go through the Cohiba factory, correct me if I'm wrong, most of the Cohibas are made in one place in very small rolling rooms. There are maybe 8 rollers in a room, if I remember correctly, when I was there.
Yeah, so El Ejido is going to, as of early 2023 now, let's say now, as of now, is going to be the only factory that Cohiba comes out of.
Okay, so
which has not been the case in years past.
And you'll see when you go through that factory, there are strict controls. There are 2 supervisors in every room, 8 rollers per room, and it is really, really monitored. I can get a D4 in one box that could be made in 3 factories. How do you control that?
Yeah, but my point is that as the cigar prices have gone up, Habanos has raised their prices.
It can't
there
change.
needs to be
It
a
can't.
better. It can.
How can it change when they have 5 factories rolling Partagas?
They need to
It's not
train their
possible.
rollers better.
It's true.
It's tough. It's
They
very
need to
tough.
But I think
Yeah,
that
but they-
overall,
Yeah, but Bam, I'm sorry. The reason that I side with Rooster here. It's not as tough as some
not.
are making it sound.
It's their only job.
Every
true. It's
every
true.
New World cigar company is able to do it.
I
Some
agree.
New World cigar companies that are smaller and with less resources than even Habanos has are able to do it. So
Dude,
it is possible.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I just think they have a system in place and they're all rolling certain vitolas for marcas across multiple factories. And then you walk into this palace called El Ejido, where most of the Cohibas are made, that you can't compare.
Well, the problem is also, what they get paid. Maybe they don't give a shit. There needs to be better training and better understanding of what they're doing, how much these
Totally
sticks are. You can't charge,
No, I agree.
$40 to $50 a stick while these rollers are making like $10 a month.
I agree.
yeah.
Where's the equality in that?
The problem is
true.
that for the amount of money, amount of extra money that we're paying for cigars, it's not ending up
No.
at the supply level or at the rolling level. It's not getting there. It's stopping at the distributor. It's stopping at the head manufacturing.
And it probably never will.
It
It
probably
won't.
never
It's just
will.
the way
gonna-
that country operates.
Exactly. There needs to be a structural change, and to do that, that's a big undertaking.
Look,
for Cuba.
we smoked a bunch of Lanceros, right? Especially lately, and those are one of the hardest sticks to roll.
but made in one spot though, by the
no, I'm
same
talking
rollers.
I'm talking about the New World sticks. Yeah,
Yeah.
made in one factory.
Exactly.
But the amount of quality control that they have, rolling these sticks, and these are under like $10 a stick,
Wow.
and they're flawless.
It's the nature of the environment that they're produced in.
But they're also paying those people well. There is an element that, Habanos, Cuban cigars, they can do whatever they want in their mind, and they're still going to sell every cigar that they manufacture.
but-
It's different when
until the consumer pushes back,
And
it
it's a
stops
shame.
paying.
Yes.
Which
Right.
is happening in ways.
Yes.
We've said it's
It's
happening
gonna
right now.
happen.
But this is the point. I think none of us is naive enough to think that this money's going to trickle down to the roller or the worker. It should. We know that's not how Cuba operates.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it's not going to.
Yeah.
But what could happen, and I think this is where I agree with Rooster, sadly, folks are willing to work for what is not a living wage rolling cigars in Cuba. The reality is Habanos SA can invest more in training those rollers, right? These are competitive jobs. As little as they pay, people, it's a source of pride. People compete to be a cigar roller in a
They
place
do.
like Cuba.
They do.
And so the simple point is, if Habanos SA wasn't so focused on just pumping out as many cigars as quickly as possible and said we need to make sure that the quality is maintained because
Mhm.
we're charging more and making more money now than we did before, this could happen. So I'm not saying I don't think that they have to even pay rollers more. They should. We know they won't,
Yeah.
but they have to just invest more in training
Yeah.
such that the quality
Wow.
well,
is commensurate with
it's
the price.
Not, I don't think it's just training. That's part of it. But I think you're a brand strategist. Part of a brand strategy is in determining how things are made and where they're made and how often they're made by different people.
That's
If you
totally different from brand
well,
strategy.
whatever.
That's
Like,
that's
completely-
supply
you
chain
can't-
strategy.
yeah.
Okay. Well, look, this is all part of it, right? So if you've got all these factories making all of these cigars for one marca, how do you How do you control quality? I'm not arguing with you. I'm just
Here-
stating a fact as to how it is now.
Well, here's what I'll say,
It just
Bam.
comes down
So,
to training.
so Bam and I were fortunate to go to La Corona, and we've become very friendly with the head torcedor at La Corona factory. La Corona makes more cigars than any other factory in Cuba. I think they make 8 or 9 million cigars a year. I don't know the exact number. But we became friendly with the head torcedor there. And his role now is not only to roll the cigars that he's required to roll, but he's also training everyone there. And he's responsible for the quality output. So I do think that in the past few years, especially since COVID, there has been an increase in exactly what we're talking about that's separate from the money piece. I do think that they've heard the complaints, certainly from retailers and distributors, and I think that they've put quality people in place to start to train people to make better cigars.
Yeah, well, it's been a relatively decent run. It hasn't
Yes.
been, call it 2019, 2020, 21, now into 22, through 22. It's been pretty good. There's been worse periods of time.
Certainly.
So, but it's the availability and the capacity of the island. They have a capacity and a production issue, which creates a shortness in the market. So the market is relatively short on, at least that's what they say.
Yeah. I think they're
which-
correcting it. It's a long correction period required to
to
catch
But
up.
don't increase your prices until that happens.
yeah, that would
certainly.
be nice.
I mean, the price increase should be in conjunction with construction, training, the
Yeah.
whole the whole
Yeah.
9 yards.
Makes
So
sense.
But in
Makes
a
sense.
short market, prices go up.
But we're talking as capitalist boys, and we're talking about
We're talking
a
about Cuba.
communist operation that
I'm
happens
just saying.
on an
I'm
island.
just saying. Sometimes there's more value in some of the New World
Yeah.
sticks.
Absolutely. Well, that's where the conversation started. It was kind of like, well, what do you do in a situation where a box that was $450
It's double.
2,
Yeah, it's
3
double.
years ago, and now it's 6-8 months ago it was $750, and now we're like, oh, it's a $900 box. Well, what do you do?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
all.
we haven't been. I mean, well, some of us have been smoking, Cuban cigars for a while.
You have.
But a lot of us have collected cigars like in the last 3 to 5 years. And those prices have doubled. So basically, our entire inventory that we're
Oh, it's
smoking,
still
it's
sure.
double in value.
it's paid for.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. We're
It's
very
already
lucky.
paid for.
But a
That's
new
true.
smoker who's going to start now collecting cigars, the amount of money that he's going to pay, and some of the boxes are not going to smoke well. There's going to be construction issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not right.
It's not
Yeah,
right.
it's troubling.
Definitely not right.
It's true.
All right, boys. We're coming to the end of the H. Upmann Añejados. Before we do the formal liquor rating, how you guys feeling on the cigar?
Tremendous cigar.
Yeah.
Great.
It's so
great
very
cigar.
good.
Tremendous cigar.
Yeah. And I think the pairing was perfect.
Yeah.
I really
no-
think
no
that
doubt
the
about it.
Balvenie 14 performed excellently. Is that a word?
Yeah, sure.
Is excellently a word?
We'll take
Yeah.
it. It could have been rampant tonight.
Probably
but-
not. But
Probably. Not. I like how
maybe
Gizmo-
if you were using in the context of your excellency, or
confirming with the
something,
academics in the room.
your
Excellently.
Excellently.
excellently, your excellency,
Your Excellency.
We'll Google it. Are you guys ready to do the
Chat GPT it.
yeah? Are you guys ready to do the formal liquor rating on the Balvenie 14 Caribbean Cask?
Yeah.
All right, Bam Bam, you're up.
So my first glass, I had some ice in it. It was great. And then I had it with neat without any ice. For me, that's always a pure indicator. It's delicious. I give it a 9.
9.
Fantastic.
Grinder.
I give it a 9. It's definitely something that it's a staple that I always can trust on, and I just have so much joy enjoying it. And it's so versatile. Like you can get the sweetness out of it to pair with sweetness, and it still's got that kind of Speyside, Balvenie character. It's so versatile, and I love it. It's a 9.
All right, Pagoda.
For me, it's a 10. I typically would rate it below the 12. It would be a 9 for me on my general experiences, but today I think I've just been really enjoying it more than ever. And maybe it's a combination. Maybe it's what I'm experiencing between the cigar and this. It's a perfect combination. It's a 10 for me.
Senator.
I'm at a 9, firmly a 9. I think it's an outstanding spirit. I've never had a bad experience with the Caribbean Cask. I think Gizmo said it well earlier in that they didn't just finish it in a Caribbean Cask for the sake of it. There's no marketing gimmick here. It works extraordinarily well. And I also like what Grinder said in mentioning how versatile it is. This is a scotch that I reach for equally in the winter as much as I do in the summer. I think in the summer, the little sweetness from the rum cask works really well. I think in the winter, it's got enough body and it's full flavored enough as a single malt that it's just as enjoyable. So there's never a bad time, I think, to reach for this. It's a 9 for me.
Yeah, I agree. There's never a bad time to reach for it. It always satisfies. It's very consistent, which is encouraging. And I love it. I mean, I'm between a 9 and a 10. I'll give it a 9. It's great. It's really it checks every box for me.
I'm also at a 9 for sure. I was between a 9 and a 10, but if I were to be a decimal, it'd be like a 92, 9.2. Like I'm kind of right there, but it's definitely a 9 for me. I think that the most cases, the 12 edges it a little bit for me, but tonight it was excellent. It really paired wonderfully with this. So it's definitely a 9. All right, boys. So for the Balvenie 14-year Caribbean Cask, it's a 9.2.
Yeah, excellent score.
And that's
918.
that's a
Which
perfect
is,
score.
as I just said, that's where I would have rated it, but
Yeah, yeah.
9.2 is perfect. That is a perfect score
Awesome.
for this.
Let's take a look at the previous scores. If you have them by
do.
persona.
I mean, I think the double wood I'd give a 9 too. I mean, it's
yeah.
So the
it's-
actually
yeah.
the double wood, the double wood we did on episode 17 with the Padron 1964 Torpedo in natural.
Oh, it's gotta be-
That
great.
rated
Rated
also a 9.2.
Look at that. That's
right
perfect.
on par.
Look at that.
And that I think is it for Balvenie on the podcast.
I
Is
think
we,
just-
didn't, we never rated the Caribbean Cat.
No, we didn't rate it the first time.
I think we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9.2, boys. So Balvenie is very, very strong as a brand on this podcast. I mean, we've done some Oban, we've done a few Macallans, I think.
What's the
this is
highest rated scotch?
the highest rated scotch? That's a great question. Let me look here for you.
Hibiki?
No.
That's a whiskey.
The Hibiki.
Well, it's got to be Mac
It's
12.
not. That's not the highest rated.
Well, we gave that a nice score.
We didn't rate Mac 12 yet, by the way.
No, we didn't.
I think this is the
So
highest
glad.
rated,
So glad.
tied with Balvenie 12 Doublewood. This is the highest rated scotch we've done so far.
Wow.
Now, we have not rated Macallan 12.
How's that possible?
And well, we did it,
was
but we
early
didn't
in the
rate
day.
it. And we also didn't rate the Kirkland boys.
Yeah, that was back in the day.
So reprise.
Oh, it's coming back. We got to have that again.
We're gonna
Oh,
do
boy.
like T Swift and re-record all our previous episodes.
I'd love to know what Giz's score is
I
of
can
that.
handicap it.
That's an 11. It's an 11.
It'll
It's
come in
11.
at 8.6,
No.
8.4.
I'm almost glad we didn't do it then because Giz used to drink so much of a 10 that he would have given so much of it
Oh.
then he would have given an 11.
No doubt.
Now I rarely see with Kirkland, so I'm actually
I
curious.
haven't had it too much.
He's elevated
He's moved
himself.
on. Yeah.
His palate has
You know
refined.
what? I think Gizmo has become an elitist in many ways.
I just love the irony.
I agree with that.
All the best.
the irony.
All
we
the
would
best
spend all
ways.
this money on scotch.
Thank you,
Why
Grinder.
would you spend all this
Oh.
on Macallan when you
Bouchon.
can have a Kirkland bottle for
I think
a
the
third of the
Sotelo
price?
changed him.
and
Senator.
a chocolate. And a
Senator.
chocolate.
One other thing. No more hoodies. Haven't seen a hoodie on the man.
Oh, you're right. Everything you've ever criticized us for, you've become one of us.
I
It's
haven't.
amazing.
All right, let me
It's
just
amazing.
say for the listener, it's not been criticism. It's been in defense.
No,
It's
no,
on.
he's
it's,
trying to survive.
It's
He's trying to
it's a
survive.
survival technique. Are you guys ready to do the formal lizard rating on the H. Upmann Añejados Robusto? All
Let's
right,
do it.
Rooster, you're up.
So I'm going to give it a 9. I can't give it a 10 because 10 is like, I mean, it's rare. Like there's very few sticks that we're going to give us, complete 10. But this cigar is phenomenal. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Great flavor from beginning to end. Great construction. I had no issues. So it's a firm 9 for me.
Puba.
I'm going to give it a 10 because I think as an Upmann Robusto, it stands out. It's a standout cigar. There's nothing really like it. It's unique. It's distinctive, and it's special. And I think it represents the Upmann DNA in a very, very unique way. So I'm going to give it for what it stands for. This is a very, very good cigar, and I think you'd be very, very hard to find something that performs and tastes this well out in the world right now. That's going to smoke a Robusto that's going to smoke like this. So for me, it's a 10.
So for me, I've been between a 9 and a 10 the entire time. To your point, for Robusto, I do think that this is the best that a Cuban Robusto has to offer. Now, that's not a knock on a D4 or a Ras or any of the other great Cuban Robustos, but this is really at the very tip top of aged Cuban Robustos that you can find. So I'm also at a 10 for sure. I just think it's an excellent cigar. It's an excellent experience, and I'm going to be reaching into my box a lot more than I've been because I've just been too conservative with it. Senator.
So this is also tough for me because I'm in the exact same boat. I just keep going back and forth, 9 or a 10, which makes clear this is an outstanding cigar. I think where I've come down is I'm going to have to give this a 9. And I say that not because I'm left with any ounce of disappointment from this cigar. The reason I can't give it a 10, for whatever reason, and I've had a hard time trying to figure out how to articulate this, as much as I love this cigar, and I think I very much agree when Puba said there's nothing like it, could not agree more. There's not a single other Cuban cigar I would compare this to at all. Very unique, wonderful smoking experience. The only thing I have a hard time with is after certain days when you seek celebratory stick in some way, you want to light something just really spectacular. For some reason, and I can't quite place it, this doesn't usually crack that list for me in the way that, a Vegas Verbena Clásicos or a Padron 80th or some of these cigars that we've almost all given 10s. And I think maybe if there were one slight complaint, maybe it's just slightly not complex enough to warrant that top score for me.
Interesting.
And I say that too
I'm
because
shocked to hear you say it's not
too,
complex enough.
honestly, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but
No.
that is shocking to me.
The thing is, as I say this, there's no one here that lights this up as like when they're going to have like a celebratory stick. Like, I mean, I see, we all send photos of the stuff we smoke. Like, Giz, you don't pull this out when you're like, I really need one of my best.
You know
smokes.
why? Because I only have
me too. And
one box.
Yeah, honestly, it's
I
the
have
scarcity of it. That
I have
makes
more
it,
Clásicos than I do this.
Yeah, there's the scarcity of it.
I have
right?
more Vegas Verbena Clásicos than I do this.
That's fair. Either way, I wouldn't give this the same score as the Clásicos.
Okay.
I think that there's something that's just a cut above with that cigar in the same way that some of those others. Not taking anything away from this cigar. 9 is an outstanding rating. I love this cigar enough that I've bought multiple boxes of it, but it just for some reason doesn't crack the like top cigars I've ever had.
Yeah. So we're rating as a cigar, right? Not as a Robusto per se.
Right. In this room right now.
In this room
as
right
we're
now.
experiencing it.
So to me, there's a lot of other like cigars that I would rate a 10. I mean, this doesn't fit that rating. Like, 2011 Cohiba Robusto that you have.
I don't have a 2011.
Or like a nicely aged Robustos. I mean, that might be a 10.
Yeah, very well made.
And it doesn't have to
but
be a
I'll say
Robusto.
this, even if I'm embracing the other side that does want to rate this based on it being Robusto, which I don't have an issue with per se. The thing is, of Robustos even, I've had an 05 Cohiba Robusto that I would rate a 10. It was absolutely flawless. It would be a little higher than this cigar.
Interesting.
There are even aged Partagas D4s I've had that I would put a cut above this cigar.
Wow.
That's not taking
Wow.
anything away from this
But
cigar.
but for my palate though, I'm not saying that I gave this a 10 because it's one of the best or the best Cuban Robustos I've had. I'm giving this a 10 because this specific cigar out of this specific box smoked perfectly for me. It gave me every single thing I wanted. That's why it's a 10. So there very well may be a Cohiba Robusto or a D4 that's aged that also gives me that experience. Tonight, with this specific cigar that I had, it was every single thing I could want out of a Cuban cigar. It's a 10. It's a 10. So I just want to tell you, Rooster, I didn't give it a 10 because it's a Robusto, and I don't rate Robustos that high. This specific cigar was excellent.
But
It's very unique. I mean, I think that look, people in this room have different palates. You love La Gloria Cabana and those floral notes and those some of those, and Cohiba has some of those notes. For me, you know, I'm a big H. Upmann fan. It's going to rank higher for me based on that DNA because that I like that a lot. So I mean, you're splitting hairs here with the analysis.
Here's the thing.
I think between a 9 and a 10.
There's
it's no big deal.
But here's the thing: is I'm just again trying to piece together why this doesn't crack a 10. Because I mean, when I say I've really been going back and forth on them, I think the other thing for me that I guess for my palate, what I pursue a bit more of in a cigar that's going to get a 10, I wish, like I described this single malt, that this cigar were a bit creamier. And I say that because that Upmann, that Lub 14 Upmann 2 that Puba gave that we reviewed, that I gave a 10. That was one of the best cigars they've ever had.
Yeah.
And that cigar with all the flavor notes in that was just brought together so beautifully with a creaminess that I think just made it so elegant all the way through. And I think with this, I don't get as much of that as I personally would want or pursue. Okay. And so I think that may also be what just falls slightly short of being one of the best cigars they've ever had. Nonetheless, it's among obviously the top cigars I've ever reviewed.
All right, Grinder.
I feel like everyone's been deposed already. Like,
this is like
your
the O.J. Simpson trial, for Christ's sake.
I'm a 9
for
this cigar because I've had I've been fortunate enough to been gifted these cigars many times, and in a couple of very important times in my life, especially after having a baby. I was gifted this cigar by both Puba and Senator, and because they know I loved it, and we had a great experience smoking it various places, and every time I've had it, I've been so impressed by the flavor, and this one was, the same story. And I've never had a bad experience. Like, I've never had a bad experience smoking this cigar, and I love it. So but again, whether you're a 9 or a 10, it's up to you. For me, a 10 is really, really special. A 10 is something that, it's hard to find. I find this a lot every time I smoke it. And as a result, I'm giving this a 9.
Pagoda.
For me, it's a 10. It's a 10. It's a 10. I think it started off as a 10. It's reminded me of, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast about the cookies, the Indian biscuits. It gave me, it reminded me of my childhood. I think I just really enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I think when it comes to rating, for me, it's about the experience at that point in time for that particular cigar. This one's burnt really well for me. The ash was really long. The finish has been long. The smoke output has been fantastic. Those are things I really seek in a cigar. And to be very honest, I think I really buy into Puba's H. Upmann love because I realized that I really have started really enjoying the H. Upmanns. Whether it's half Coronas, whether it's H. Upmann 2. And for me, it's a revelation. I really enjoyed it today. For me, it's a 10, and there's no question about it.
Bam Bam.
Yeah, I don't see how this cigar cannot be a 10. Honestly, you're gifting this cigar for a reason. It's an unusual, hard to get cigar. I mean, I smoked it down to 3/8 inch. You don't do that very often with this type of a cigar. And the flavor, it just kept building and building. It was delicious all the way through. No edges at all. It's got to be a 10.
And I think that this is a nice conversation to have because this is not about like splitting hairs between this. Forget it.
Yeah, between a 9 and a 10, it's very elite.
But this
right?
is
It's
about.
elite.
But
It's
this
elite.
is about like what like you gravitate towards. It's very personal. This is not. It's a very personal thing. Like for me, I really like H. Upmann. Everybody knows I really like H. Upmann, and I like that flavor profile. I really love Partagas, but I may love H. Upmann a little bit more than Senator loves H. Upmann. He may love Partagas a little bit more. Right? I'm
No,
not. I
that's
don't want to
accurate.
speak
For
him.
me, it's
I think that's
Partagas 1.
accurate.
He may
H.
love
Upmann 2.
Partagas a little bit more. So for me,
I love he's presenting this as a hypothetical
know.
argument.
When
It's
I'm
a
right
fact.
next to him. and
It's
I'm
a
like,
fact.
it's-
but I mean, half my humidor is Partagas, But I mean,
Yeah.
but do I have a little bit of a love affair with H. Upmann? Let me have it.
But the
So it's
argument,
me. In other words, that's me though. But that's me.
but the
like
market,
like there are
It's
people.
me.
But that's my point. Like
On
like
the drama.
we're
like,
not
no.
rating a marker.
You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. We're not rating a marker. We're rating a cigar tonight. H. Upmann or not, that's a 10 cigar.
It's a
I don't
great
care who the
cigar.
fuck made it.
That's a great cigar.
It is incredible from
No,
start
but
to
people
finish.
gravitate towards certain things.
This
my
is true.
point.
That's true.
Yeah.
Let's say, look,
I agree.
if I have an incredible event in my life and I want to have only the most incredible cigars and I can choose 2 or 3, the Vegas
It's not a
Urbana
big deal.
Classico and this guy, I'd have those in a sitting and be extremely happy.
Senator mauls. He can maul Padron 80s back to back. I don't do that.
He does
That's
4
not
in a-
my scene.
4 in a row, by the way.
Like I don't do that. So what I like is like a little bit different. What's the big deal?
Guilty as charged.
Am I crazy?
You're not crazy. No
Senator-
one's saying you're crazy.
Senator,
No, I
please,
know.
please don't forget to validate Puba's parking.
That's
Yeah.
right. So your parking's validated, and I will validate that. Yes, I put Partagas just slightly ahead of him.
All right,
Yes, he
so
does. Of course he does. Of course he does.
let's just run through the H. Upmann ratings we've done on the pod. By the way, the formal Lizard rating on this cigar tonight is a 9.6.
That's high.
Wow.
That's very
I
high.
think it's actually like
That's
right where it
accurate.
should be.
You
I
think
think
that's
so.
too high?
That's
No.
fair. I think that, well, it's from our ratings. Yeah, that's a
No,
very
I think
high.
that's fair. If I could give this decimals, I would have given it a 9.5.
I'm not saying it's
Yeah,
fair.
I
think it's very
that's
fair.
not my
I agree
proclamation.
with Senator.
What
That's
I'm
a
saying
great
is,
score.
In our
9.6,
in
very
our
valid.
This is
inventory,
not a polarizing cigar. What the fuck?
no one's
So,
polarized.
all right, so let's run through the H. Upmanns that we've done on the podcast. The Magnum 46 got an 8.1.
Yeah.
You're not happy about that?
The Magnum number 50 got a 7.6. The H. Upmann number 2, Lub 14, got a 9.8.
I think
And
I
tonight-
rated it a 9.
And tonight, the Añejados Robusto got a 9.6, boys.
Wow. So,
It's perfect.
very.
Yeah.
It's
pretty
not the
happy.
highest.
I'm
It's
pretty
not
happy
even the
with
highest
that.
Upmann, right?
No, it's not the high. The Lub 14 Upmann 2 is the
I
highest.
think Senator
No,
said it.
which is why the
Yeah,
rating is
yeah.
perfect.
It's
Again, if I
perfect.
could have given it decimals, I would have given it a 9.5. Who cares what I alone would have rated it?
Yeah.
I think there's not one lizard in here that's going to disagree that when I brought up that Lub 14, that cigar is a bit better than this stick. And so I think a 9.8 and a 9.6 ends up being very fair.
Yeah.
And by the way, if I could do decimals, I'd give it a 9.5.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty
I
amazing.
just rounded up because I love this. I have a personal thing.
Guys,
like-
one thing. One
Yeah.
quick
He's
thing.
on the payroll.
What's
No.
interesting?
He is. He
No,
definitely
I'm
is.
being serious. Like I would give it. Like if I had a choice.
Guys, that's why we do
Yeah,
a composite rating.
But
okay?
what's
So,
interesting though?
why are we debating this?
Think
There's-
about
Because
it. Though.
this is
Hold
what
on.
happens when we smoke great cigars. We get giddy.
3 or 4 of you guys were debating between a 9 and a 10. That 9.6, like Senator said, it's truly a perfect score from
It
all
is.
the comments that have been given
Yeah,
regarding
absolutely.
where their rating would be.
Yep.
It's perfect.
All right, boys. Another excellent night with an excellent cigar and a phenomenal scotch. We ended up at a 9.2 for the Balvenie 14 Caribbean Cask and a 9.6 for this excellent H. Upmann Robusto Añejados. Look at us.
Look at you.
Look at you.
You've transformed, Gizmo.
No
All right.
sweatshirt tonight.
All right, boys. Great night, great cigar, great scotch, great conversation. And we'll see y'all next week.
Keep smoking.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining us. You can find our merch store and ratings archive at our brand new website, loungelizardspod.com. That's loungelizardspod.com. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, hello@loungelizardspod.com. You can also find us on Instagram, at Lounge Lizards Pod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.